Cabo the Great walked back into the sanctuary. He paused at the gates, listening. He could hear the clink and clank of metal on metal, the sound of training swords, of armor. He heard the commanders shouting orders, their voices carrying over the fields. The hunters responded, fierce and eager. They were giving it their all. A hint of pride shone in his eyes. They were ready. They would fight. But inside him, there was something else, a heavy stone in his chest. He had paid a price for victory, a price he could barely speak aloud. When he pushed open the door to his quarters, she was there, waiting. Naomi. She stood quickly, smiling. Relief and joy lit her face. "You're back, my husband," she said softly. She took a step forward, reaching for his hands. Cabo forced himself to smile. He had promised he would return. He had kept that promise. But she saw the sadness in his eyes. Her smile faltered just a little. "Were you successful?" she asked. "What happened out there?" He hesitated. His mouth felt dry. How could he tell her? How could he say the words? That he had betrayed her in the cruelest way possible. That he had pledged their unborn child. Not just theirs, but the children of their children. A line of blood he had sold away. He swallowed. She was waiting, watching him with such hope. He cleared his throat, managed a small smile. Yes, it was successful. She relaxed, letting out a long breath. "Tell me," she urged. "What did they say? What did you do?" He looked away. He couldn't meet her eyes. "We have the Centaurs," he said quietly. "They agreed to fight with us. It's a partnership that will help us win this war." Naomi's eyes lit up. She actually laughed, tears gathering. "That's wonderful, Cabo. Truly." He tried to smile back, but his face felt stiff. Then she asked the question he was dreading. "And what did they want in return?" His heart stopped. He forced himself to breathe. He forced his voice to stay calm. "Not much," he lied. "Not much?" she asked, tilting her head. Her eyes were sharp, curious. "What did they ask for, Cabo?" He opened his mouth, but no words came. How could he tell her that he had given away their son? That he had promised a child that hadn't even drawn breath? That he had offered their bloodline to beings whose magic and plans he didn't even understand? He felt sick. You are watching the Tales of the Savannah. Subscribe and be part of the tribe. Now let's get back to the story. But before he could speak, there was a knock on the door, then it opened. Titus walked in. He was beaming. "It's good to have you back, Cabo," he said. "We were worried. Come, the council wants to hear your plan." Cabo seized the moment. He nodded quickly, stepping away from Naomi's questioning gaze. "Yes, we have much to discuss," he said gruffly. "We'll talk later." She watched him go, confused, worried. He didn't look back, because if he did, he might have broken right there in front of her. He walked out to greet his men, to plan for battle, and behind his eyes there was nothing but sadness. Inside the Snake People's camp, there was tension in the air. Torches crackled. Around the heavy wooden table stood Eli, Hannah, Gideon, Daniel, and the other elders. Maps were spread out, weighed down with daggers. Everyone was silent, except for the sound of Eli's finger tapping the map. Eli's eyes burned. He slammed his fist onto the table. "They took our home," he growled. "My brother's castle, his life's work. They sleep in our beds, eat from our stores, laugh at our dead. It ends now." Heads nodded all around. No one disagreed. Gideon leaned forward. "We cannot just charge in and die. We need to plan every step, every move." Eli stabbed his dagger into the map at the castle. "This is our target. The castle is their base. If we take it, the city falls. It's the heart. Cut out the heart and the body dies." Hannah's voice was firm. "So how do we do it?" Eli looked at them all. His voice dropped low, serious. "Here's the plan." The elders and warriors leaned in. Eli's eyes burned. "Listen, no mistakes. We do this right. First," Eli said, stabbing the east side of the map with his dagger. "Gideon leads this small team. You come in from the east gate. You hit hard and loud. Make them look your way." Gideon nodded, eyes cold. "Second," Eli pointed to the west. "Tandoro, you take the west gate. Same plan. Hit them at the same time. Make them think that's the real attack." Tandoro was Eli's old friend, and great warrior. He trusted him with his life. Tandoro gave one short nod. "Third," Eli's finger moved to the north wall. "Daniel, you're with me. We come in from the north. This is the real strike. We wait for them to be pulled east and west. Then we break the gate and go straight in." Daniel swallowed, but his eyes didn't leave Eli's. "Yes, Uncle." "Fourth," Eli tapped the south. "Hannah, this is you. Our best archers will be here, up on the hills. When the alarm sounds, they rain arrows on anyone trying to run or reinforce. No one escapes. No one." Hannah nodded. Eli lifted his head, looking them all in the eye. "They will panic. They will split their men to both gates. When they realize it's a trick, it'll be too late. We'll be in the courtyard before they know it." Gideon's voice was like gravel. "What about their leader? Cabo?" Eli's mouth was a thin line. "He's mine," Eli said quietly. "If you see him, hold him. Don't kill him. That's mine to do." Daniel laid his hand on the map. "We hit them from four sides, make them chase shadows, then gut them from the inside." Eli nodded. "That's the plan. Simple, clean. Tomorrow it ends." The room fell silent. The crackle of flames was the only sound. Then Eli's voice cut through it. "Get your teams. Prepare your fangs. We move at dawn." No one argued. They stood, walked away with purpose, eyes hard. War was here, and they were ready. Meanwhile, on Snake Island, Isa couldn't sit still. She paced back and forth at the edge of the camp, her feet kicking up dust, her hands balled into fists. She kept glancing at the horizon. "They should be back by now," she whispered, her voice cracking with worry. For days she hadn't slept properly. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw them lost in the forests, surrounded by hunters. Maybe Polisa had been right. Maybe this should never have been done again. She was supposed to protect her people. But she had been so sure, so greedy for hope. She had seen the way the people danced when Polisa brought them back the first time. She had wanted more of that joy, that unity. But they had been gone too long. What was keeping them? She clenched her teeth so hard her jaw hurt, she blinked back tears. Then movement. She froze. A figure in the river. Small at first, blurred. She squinted, heart thudding. Was that? She took a step forward. The figure grew clearer, steady, determined. "Yes," she breathed. "Yes, it's Vusi." Her heart lifted for just a heartbeat. Relief flooded her eyes. But then the truth hit her like a slap. He was alone. Where were the others? Her mouth went dry. She took another step, the ground feeling unsteady beneath her feet. All around, snake people were gathering silently, drawn by the sight. Murmurs rippled through them. Vusi's face was carved from stone. There was no smile, no victory, only cold fury. He didn't say a word as he walked up. The crowd parted around him like water around a rock. Asa's lips trembled. "Vusi," she whispered. He didn't answer. He just stopped in front of her, eyes locked on hers. Then he lifted the heavy sack he carried. For a moment, time stopped. He let it fall. Thud. Two heads rolled out onto the dirt. Hunters. The snake people gasped. A high, shrill cry broke from someone in the crowd. Others covered their mouths, their eyes wide with horror. The heads landed at Asa's feet, the dead eyes staring up at the sky, mouths frozen in silent screams. Asa's knees nearly buckled. Her breath hitched in her throat. Tears spilled down her cheeks unchecked. Vusi didn't flinch. His eyes burned with anger and something darker, grief. The wind blew through the clearing, chilling everyone to the bone. The silence was heavy, suffocating. Asa looked at the heads, then back at Vusi. For a second, she wasn't seeing Vusi. She was seeing her husband Ose, years ago, doing the same thing, dropping hunter heads at her feet, saying without words, "I will protect you. I will avenge you." She blinked, and it was Vusi again, so young, so furious, so hurt. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. She closed her eyes tight, her tears falling onto the dirt. She didn't need an explanation. She understood. Her people were gone, killed. The mission had failed. The people stood frozen, some crying softly, others shaking their heads in despair. The hope Asa had fought so hard to give them seemed to crumble right in her hands. She opened her eyes and saw them looking at her, waiting, wanting answers, needing comfort she didn't know how to give. She looked at Vusi. He had done what needed to be done. She took a deep breath. "Thank you," she said, voice trembling. He bowed. Asa turned and walked away. She needed to see Ziva. He always seemed to have the answers. Tendai, Sia, and Palisa sat in the cold cells. Their minds wrestled with what was to come. Tendai could not understand why Palisa would want to fight for a hunter, to possibly give her life for him. "Why are you doing this?" he asked her after a long silence in the dark. "Because you are my son," she said softly. He didn't understand, but weirdly, he also understood. He thought of Malikica and his unborn child. He had not even met his child yet. He knew he would do anything for them. What a strange, raw sensation it was, to be willing to die for someone you hadn't even met. He sat there quietly, realizing, feeling it sink deep into his bones. Sia finally spoke, breaking the quiet. "Tendai is having a baby." "What?" Palisa's head turned. Her eyes softened. "You're going to make me a grandmother." Tendai's head dropped. He didn't even know how to respond. "And your wife?" she asked, her voice almost teasing. "You didn't tell me you were married. Were you keeping that from me?" Sia cleared his throat, but Tendai didn't smile back. He swallowed. "I'm not married to her," Tendai said quietly, shame heavy in every word. "What?" Palisa was surprised. "You didn't marry the girl?" "No. There was no time. It happened too fast." Palisa shook her head slowly. "So why are you here, Tendai? You should be back with your wife and your child. Is that not the most responsible thing to do?" Sia stayed quiet, watching. Tendai leaned back, cornered. Words clogged his throat. "I was dealing with a lot," he said finally. His voice cracked. "The death of a hunter, and then finding out about you. It was a lot." Palisa watched him, really watched him. Then she nodded. "So, what are you planning to do?" "I didn't leave on good terms," Tendai admitted. His voice was thick. He paused, breath shaky. "I would love to marry her, if she will have me." Palisa's eyes softened, but her voice stayed strong. "Well, you'll have to beg her until she says yes. Would you want another man to raise your child?" "No," Tendai said immediately. His face tightened. The thought made him sick. He closed his eyes. He saw faces in his memory. Other young hunters. He remembered when they had approached him, asking him if they could make a move on Malikica. And he knew his hunter brothers. Even knowing she was carrying his child, they would be circling even harder with him gone. Those vultures. He was shaking now, the anger, the fear crawling up his spine. He knew if he didn't go back soon, everything would be lost. He clenched his fists. He needed to go back. Apologize. Beg. Take back what was his. Morning couldn't come soon enough, but Palisa was watching him carefully. Then she asked a question so gentle, so quiet, it startled both Sia and Tendai. "Tendai," she whispered, "can I hold you?" Just a hug. Tendai's breath caught. His mind spiraled. He had spent so many years trying not to think about this moment, about her. He had grown up without her, wondered, hated, yearned, remembered the smell of her from outside his grandmother's hut. Remembered the ache in his chest, even when he forgot her face. He had missed her so much, and now she was here. She was asking to touch him, to hold him. He couldn't move. He was a hunter. She was a snake. He was a son. She was his mother. Conflict burned inside him, but she was here. She was real. And she was willing to give her life for him. She saw the pain in his eyes and slowly stood up. He stood too, unsure. Each step she took toward him, his heart cracked more. She opened her arms, and he let himself fall into them. He sobbed. He didn't know why, but he did. Ugly, raw sobs that shook his whole body. Palisa held him tight, tighter than anything. Her own eyes glistened with tears she had shed 1,000 times over the years. Her son, her baby, the one she had to give away, the one she had lost. She pressed her face to his shoulder. "I love you," she whispered, finally letting herself say it. He hugged her back with everything in him, bringing her closer, holding on like he'd never let go. Sia came and hugged them both. Tendai felt his pain melting away. For the first time in his life, Tendai felt whole. Their family was complete, and they stayed like that for a long, long time. "Can I sit with you?" The voice was low, careful. Malikica looked up fast, her heart jumped. It was Mandla. She felt heat in her face. She remembered she had told him she needed time, space. But there he was, smiling at her, calm, confident. She looked back at her plate. She had barely touched the food. Her stomach twisted with worry. "How is our baby?" Mandla asked, voice quiet. Her eyes snapped up. "Why would you say that?" she whispered to herself, confused. Mandla didn't flinch. His eyes held hers steady. "He is fine," she heard herself say. She didn't know why those words fell out. Mandla smiled a little. "Can I sit?" She swallowed and nodded once. He sat next to her, close enough that she could feel the warmth of him. She suddenly felt shy. She tucked hair behind her ear, didn't dare look at him right away, but she felt his eyes on her, burning, seeing. "I told you I was thinking about your proposal," she whispered. "That doesn't mean we can't talk while you think," he said gently. She lifted her eyes. He was still looking at her, not blinking, not backing down. She felt hot, exposed. He glanced at her food. "You're picking at it," he murmured. "You need to eat. Our son has to be strong." Her breath caught. There it was again. Our son. "Why do you keep saying that?" He leaned in closer. She felt the press of his arm against hers. "Because a father isn't the man who made him," Mandla said, voice low. "It's the man who stayed." She blinked fast, fighting tears. He didn't look away. "If you let me," he said, voice dropping, "I'll stay. Always. I'll be there when he takes his first breath. First step. I'll be the one he calls Papa." Her tears fell freely, silently. She felt something shift in her chest. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. "Mandla, you're serious?" "Yes," he whispered. He brought a hand slowly, gently, toward her belly. He paused. Let her see it. Let her stop him. "Can I?" She sucked in air. Her head screamed, no, but her heart. She nodded. His warm hand rested on her stomach. He didn't squeeze, he didn't rush, he just held it. She felt the heat of it soak into her, felt something break loose inside her. "You deserve better," he said quietly. "You deserve love that doesn't run. A man who fights for you, not someone who leaves you here alone." Her eyes burned. She bit her lip. She wanted to tell him to stop, but she also wanted to hear those words, to know she was desired, loved. More tears slipped down her cheek. "Please," he said, voice shaking now too, "let me love you. Let me love both of you." She let out a shaky breath. She wanted to say no, she wanted to scream, but it felt good, it felt safe. She let her head drop forward, pressing her forehead against his shoulder. He didn't move. He just held her. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in weeks, she didn't feel alone. The air under the sea was thick with tension. The arena was lit by the glow of strange coral, and the crowd had gathered. Mamiwata sat high on her throne of shells and bone, her hair floating in the water like black smoke. Her eyes were bright with anticipation. Zoro stood there already, face hard, shoulders set. But if you looked closely, you'd see the hollow look in his eyes. He would not speak about what had happened the night before. Mamiwata smiled at him now with amusement, like he was hers already. She loved a strong man, and Zoro was strong. She had taken him apart, piece by piece. She had claimed his soul. He hadn't resisted. He wanted it, needed it. A man willing to be broken for his sins. He understood it wasn't just pain, it was worship, it was confession, and she was a goddess. She watched him now with hungry eyes. She was impressed, very impressed, and she promised herself she would have him again. When Tendai, Sia, and Palisa arrived, they saw that smile. They saw Zoro refuse to meet their eyes. "Welcome," Mamiwata purred. Her voice sent shivers through them. This is what happens to those who promise Mamiwata something. "And then run," she called, her voice ringing through the water. The crowd cheered. Merfolk, strange creatures from the deep, all waiting for blood. "Palesa," Mamiwata said, turning her sharp eyes on her. "Step forward." Sia grabbed her arm. "Don't." But Palesa shook her head. She pulled free. She straightened her back. She stepped forward. "You have volunteered to fight my beast," Mamiwata said with cruel delight. "May the gods you pray to hear you now." Palesa bowed her head. She didn't speak. She turned. She looked at Sia. Their eyes met. He shook his head once, desperate. His mouth moved. "Please." But she gave him one last sad smile, and she walked away. They led her to the arena's center. The water churned, the crowd roared, and then it came. From the deep shadows, something vast and slithering pushed forward. The water boiled around it. It was part eel, with long electric tendrils that crackled and lit the gloom. Its body was scaled, armored like a crocodile. Massive clawed fins jutted from its sides, slicing the water as it circled. Its head was monstrous, a gaping mouth lined with jagged teeth, eyes black and shining with hunger. The sound it made was a low, deep roar, like thunder underwater. Tendai's breath caught. He went cold all over. Sia's mouth went dry. Zoro closed his eyes, cursing softly. Palesa's heart thundered. She felt the vibrations in her bones. But she stood firm. She closed her eyes, breathing deep. And then she began to change. Scales rippled over her skin. Her hair lengthened and hardened into sharp spines. Her eyes flashed, turning slitted and bright. She grew, lengthening, thickening, becoming a massive snake. Her fangs dripped with venom. The crowd screamed in approval. Mamiwata's smile widened. "Oh, this will be delicious," she whispered, settling back on her throne. She licked her lips. "Fight," she said. The beast lunged. Palesa twisted, fast and graceful, dodging the first charge. She struck, her fangs cutting deep into its side. The water clouded red. The crowd roared. The beast screeched. Its tail whipped like a living whip, slamming into her and sending her crashing into the coral walls. She rebounded, dazed but furious. She coiled and struck again, wrapping around the monster's neck, squeezing. The beast thrashed. Tendrils sparked, shocking her. She screamed in pain, the water boiling with electricity. Tendai couldn't watch, but he couldn't look away. "Mother," he whispered, voice breaking. Sia was shaking. His hand was on his sword, even though he knew it was useless here. Zoro's knuckles were white. He had seen enough blood in his life, but this was for them. This was their punishment. Palisa held on. She wouldn't let go, but she bit again. Blood poured out in clouds, but the beast was too strong. It grabbed her with its claws and pulled. Her body was torn. She screamed, turning back to her human form as she fell away from it. She was panting, bleeding. She could barely keep her eyes open. The beast circled, slow now, smelling her blood, waiting for the final order. Mamiwata leaned forward, delighted. Her eyes glowed. "This is a good fight," she said. She was almost breathless, thrilled. She raised her hand. Tendai screamed, "Stop it! Stop!" Sia lunged, but Zoro stopped him. And then Zoro stepped forward. "Please," he said, voice shaking. "Please make it stop." Mamiwata turned her eyes on him. They were cold, amused. "You know the rules, Hunter. A fight to the death." Zoro fell to his knees. "Then take my life instead." Silence. Mamiwata blinked. Then she smiled. Zoro swallowed. His hands trembled. "She is not the one who wronged you," he whispered. Mamiwata leaned back on her throne. "Go on. It was us. It was me. I lied. I cheated you. She wasn't even there." Mamiwata's smile was slow, wicked. "You want to trade her life for yours?" Zoro's eyes were determined. He nodded. "Yes." She laughed, soft and dark. "And what will you give me, Hunter? Your death? Your bones? That's easy. Too easy." She leaned forward until her face was inches from his. The water between them felt hot. "Will you live for me? Serve me? Come to me when I call? Lie with me when I want?" Zoro shuddered, memories of the night before flashing in his mind. Her breath was on his lips. "Will you be mine?" He couldn't speak. He just nodded. "Yes," he choked out. Mamiwata's laugh rang through the chamber. "Say it properly." He closed his eyes. "I will be yours whenever you want me, however you want me." The crowd roared with laughter and cheers. Mamiwata sat back, satisfied. She snapped her fingers. "Stop!" The beast froze. It turned away. The crowd booed. They wanted blood. Mamiwata ignored them. She waved her hand. "Take them away." When they broke the surface, it was dawn. The river was cold. Mist hung low. Sia was holding Palisa in his arms. She was limp, her clothes shredded, her body marked with deep gashes, blood mixed with river water. Sia looked at her. His heart felt like it broke open. He had almost lost her. He couldn't leave her now. He pressed his forehead to hers. "I'm here," he whispered. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Zoro and Tendai helped carry her up the bank to Mamijua's hut. Mamijua took one look and gasped. She barked orders, gathering herbs and salves. She pressed cloths into wounds. "She'll live," she said finally, "but she's going to need care. For a while." Sia didn't move. "I'll stay with her," he said. Zoro nodded. He understood. "What does that mean, Father?" Tendai asked, sensing there was a deeper meaning to this. Sia didn't look at him. He just stroked Palesa's hair. "I'm not leaving." Tendai blinked. His throat felt tight. "Father." Sia finally looked at his son. "I'm not leaving her again. I've regretted it too many times." Tendai swallowed hard. He wiped his face roughly. "So, you are not coming back?" Sia nodded. "This is where I'm needed. She's where I'm needed." Zoro didn't speak for a long time. Then he put a hand on Sia's shoulder. "You take care of her." Sia nodded. They were all silent. Palisa stirred weakly. Her hand found Tendai's. She squeezed it. He bent and kissed her forehead. "Thank you, Mother," he whispered. Tendai's eyes burned. He felt like he was breaking. "Goodbye, Father." Sia pulled him close, held him tight. "Be better than me," he said into his hair. "Go back. Make things right." Tendai sobbed. "I will." Zoro turned away, wiping his eyes roughly. "I'll visit you once you've settled down," he promised. Sia smiled, even with tears. "You better." Zoro touched Sia's shoulder again, and then they left. They didn't look back. Inside the hut, Sia sat down beside Palisa. He took her hand in both of his. He watched her breathe, and he knew. He wasn't a hunter anymore. He was a husband, maybe even a farmer. He smiled at the thought. A farmer. A simple life. A dream come true. My dear tribe members, it's that time again. You know we always close the season with a bang. The battle is upon us, the stage is set. The snake people are on the move at dawn, launching their ambush without warning. Will the hunters scramble to hold the line? But here's the twist. The Centaurs. Will they arrive in time to turn the tide? Or will the sacrifice fall to the serpent's jaws? And listen, I haven't forgotten about our Centaurs in the present day. Nandi, Django and Diallo. They're coming back next episode. And boy, do I have a revelation for you. Stay tuned. The finale is going to be wild. And that, my dear tribe, brings us to the end of yet another episode in our Hunters vs. Snake People series. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. In this week's episode, Cabo the Great returns, but he is a haunted man. He carries a heavy, terrible secret in his heart. He refuses to tell Naomi what he sacrificed to win the Centaur's support. Meanwhile, the snake people huddle over their map, voices low and serious. They are ready to strike. Eli is consumed with rage. He doesn't want Cabo simply captured. He wants to be the one to kill him, to feel the revenge in his own hands. Elsewhere on Snake Island, there is horror. Vusi appears suddenly, shocking everyone. He is cold and calm as he lets two severed hunter heads hit the ground with a sickening thud. The message is chillingly clear. No one survived but him. Beneath the waves, emotions churn as deeply as the sea. Tendai, Sia, and Palesa share a painful, heartfelt talk. Palesa advises Tendai to go back home, to protect the family, and do whatever it takes to get them back. He wants to deny it, but deep down he knows she's right. When he finally embraces his mother and father, years of anger and bitterness break like a dam, washing away in tears. Meanwhile, Mandla shows what it means to be a true hunter. He knows when to wait and when to move. His calm strength brings Malikica comfort in a world full of fear and uncertainty. Back in Mamiwata's arena, Palesa faces Mamiwata's monstrous eel-like beast. The fight is savage. Blood spills, cries echo, and she is finally defeated. The beast circles her, hungry for the kill, but waits for Mamiwata's command. Zoro cannot watch her die. He drops to his knees, voice breaking, and offers himself in her place. The arena holds its breath. Mamiwata accepts, but her merfolk are disappointed. They were there for blood, not mercy. They rush Palesa away to Mamijua to save her life. Mamijua says she will live, but Sia can't bear to go. The three men share a bittersweet farewell. Sia stays behind, with plans for what comes next. What happens next, we'll just have to wait and see. Until then, stay wild, stay curious, and stay ready for what's to come. Want to support the channel and become an even bigger part of our tribe? You can join for as little as the cost of a coffee each month. Your support helps me continue creating the content you love, but of course, just having you here is already more than enough. Thank you for being part of this journey. A warm and heartfelt thank you to all the amazing tribe members who have chosen to join and support this incredible journey. Your belief in this channel means the world to me, and I'm so glad to have you along for the ride. And as always, thank you for watching our story, and we hope you enjoyed it. What lessons did you draw from this story? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of the tribe. Thank you for watching The Tales of the Savannah. We will see you next time in the Savannah.